how fast can I ride the most stressful and competitive rides in Disney World? I'm putting it to the test. We're talking about all 11 Tier 1 Lightning Lane attractions across 3 different parks. Gonna be a doozy. How fast can we do it? Let's find out. Rope dropping Hollywood Studios this morning. Now, you might notice rope drop looks a little bit different than it has if you haven't been here in a couple of months. Instead of the huge, long, non-resort guest queue that stretched all the way out there and meant standing in the sun, now everybody can enter the park. And there's just some gated areas where you have to show that you're a resort guest. So the park's not open yet, but even though I'm not a resort guest, I'm gonna be able to go in and get set to go head to my first attraction at 9 a.m. when the park does open. All right, so this is rope drop. This is basically arriving before the park opens, and people start rope dropping about 2 hours before the park opens when the parking lot opens. Now, for me, it's about 4 minutes before the park opens. In most cases, you do not need to do that 2 hour or even 1 hour in advance rope drop. I would say arriving at the park gates 30 minutes before park opens will be just fine to have a pretty good slow first waits. But if you do really want to optimize, you can do an hour in advance. 2 hours in advance is going to be a lot of waiting around to have only a slightly better outcome, so I don't recommend it, but you do you. I mean, if you're just going to be sleeping, you paid to be here, so up to you. But basically, you can get into Hollywood Studios and go to sort of a bay where it will let you through. Now, we have kind of a choice to make here, which is that Rock and Roller Coaster and Slinky Dog Dash are the 2 that I have my eyes on for rope drop. Rock and Roller Coaster appears to be fully down. It's either completely booked up on Lightning Lanes or they've stopped offering Lightning Lanes because they don't know that it's going to come up. Could be a combo, but I've got a Lightning Lane already for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway for right after park open, which is going to be how we officially start skipping the line for the day. But for now, we are going to head to Toy Story Land, I believe, because Rockin', not looking optimistic. Slinky Dog Dash has a posted 45-minute wait, which is entirely possibly accurate. For our challenge today, we're just trying to get through the rides as fast as we can. That does not mean using Lightning Lane for every single one, because who's doing that? No one's trying. Now, I think you could do that, but I actually think it would take us longer today to get through everything than simply waiting in a few of the attraction lines, which is why the best strategy in Disney World is using a mix of Lightning Lane and standby lines and single rider, which is what I'm going to show off today. Now, Lightning Lane is Disney Skip the Line service. It gives you access to bypass the standby line. Typically, waits in the Lightning Lane are under 10 minutes. Oftentimes, they are like 5 minutes. Lightning Lane is a paid option. There are a couple of ways you can access it. The primary one is going to be Lightning Lane Multipass. Oh, look at that timing. Literally started walking right when I walked up. Lightning Lane Multipass is going to give you access to most attractions in Disney World with a reservation system where you can book up to 3 reservations at a time for a little 1 hour return window based on availability. This is, oh my gosh, cute. Woody and Jessie are walking everybody into the land. That's so cute. What was I saying? Now, Lightning Lane Multipass is all we're going to be using today because we're talking about the tiered attractions which apply to Lightning Lane Multipass. This is something that you can purchase for a date-based and park-based fee, but you can park hop with it after you use your first Lightning Lane of the day. You can book rides in other parks. Booking windows open up at different times depending on whether you're a resort guest or not. And when you use Lightning Lane Multipass, you get to book 3 Lightning Lanes in advance before you finalize your purchase to make sure that you think it's worth it for you. When you purchase Lightning Lane Multipass for any park other than Animal Kingdom, and you make those early ride selections, you can pick 1 in the Tier 1 category, and the other 2 reservations have to come from the Tier 2 category. Now, Tier 1 category is going to be the more popular rides in Disney World, harder to get Lightning Lanes, which is why Lightning Lane strategy is so important. Once you get to the park and scan into your first Lightning Lane for the day, the tier system goes away, but that doesn't change the fact that Tier 1s are going to be the hardest to get because most people are going to be going for them. So that is our mission today. Ride every Tier 1 attraction in Disney World across all 3 parks except Animal Kingdom. And yes, these are pretty much the most popular rides in Disney World. So we're gonna see how we do. I did decide to go Slinky Dog Dash first. This and Riser of the Sense are the most popular rides in this park. Slinky Dog Dash gets a super long wait during early entry. You can see it's already 45 minutes and the park just opened. I walked straight here as a regular park guest. Now, this morning, we've already got a hiccup because Slinky Dog Dash is not running right now. But if a ride isn't running, always listen to what the cast members are saying. The way they are talking about a ride not running can reveal a lot. For instance, right now they're saying we're experiencing a brief delay. We don't know when it will open. We expect it to be soon. They rarely, if ever, say that if they do not think it's going to be very, very soon. The other thing that will happen here is a lot of people will get out of line because there's a technical difficulty and it's wasting valuable rope drop time. I still think it's the right call to stay. All right, I have decided to bail based on what the cast members are saying because the ride did just come back up, but the solution was that they had to drop the ride to only 2 trains instead of their usual 4. So they had to remove a train from the track, which means they're running at fully half capacity. They gave a very clear warning that this means if you just join the standby line, like me, you could be waiting around 2 hours. That's not gonna work for me. With this challenge today, I think we can do better with snagging a lightning lane or even hoping that a train rejoins the track later and waiting in the standby line when it's at a better capacity later in the day. So instead, we're gonna go ahead and start our day with Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, which is super not what I would recommend at all because this one does have a single rider line. Much easier to get on with that later in the day. Single rider lines can be found in Disney World. There's a handful of them. And in most instances, except for Rock and Roller Coaster, they can mean a dramatically reduced wait as long as you are willing and able to split up your party. So I was planning on using that for Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, but I might use the regular line since I'm getting a true rope drop out of this. Now, I still have not used my first lightning lane of the day, so I'm still limited by that tier system from booking in advance. In advance, I chose to book Star Tours, which is the earliest lightning lane I could get in this park, to be able to open up that tier system, and Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, which, though not a super high demand one, is one that I could get pretty early, which means opening up 2 lightning lane slots before 10 a.m. by using both of those. So one of our biggest lightning lane tips, whether you're trying to really push it to the limits and ride a ton, or just using it kind of idly, is to modify. This is taking your least desirable lightning lane and going to the modify screen and refreshing repeatedly, looking for better times. A pro tip here is that by setting up your Genie Day on the My Day page, you can actually pin the attractions you're looking for to the top of the page. So when you refresh, they're all right there. Now, I've done this for my Hollywood Studios attractions for now because the ideal would be to finish this park before moving on to another. Now the catch is, I don't know that that's gonna happen with Rock and Roller Coaster down and the Slinky situation, so we might be moving on to another park and then coming back. Yeah, 15-minute standby wait is pretty much a walk-on, and you can tell because if you look in those windows, that's the very end of the queue. You can see folks are still walking right there. So we're gonna just take the regular standby just to show what rope dropping this attraction is like if you wanted to stay with your group. But what I'm doing right now is I'm attempting to modify my Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway to a Slinky Dog Dash. I'd be okay with doing this because I can still get a pretty good Mickey and Minnie's around 10 a.m. I can use that Star Tours to open up my day, so it'd be okay that it's a little later. The only thing is, now Slinky Dog Dash availability is all the way out to 8:10 p.m. So getting a really early one, and we'll see. I am also looking for when Rock and Roller Coaster comes back alive because likely some lightning lanes will drop when they know when that ride is going to open or if that ride is going to open. As with all of our ride challenges, if a ride stays closed for the entire duration of the challenge, it doesn't count. So if we get to the very end of the day and Rock and Roller Coaster hasn't opened, then we'll still get to consider it a complete for the challenge. And when factoring in the time, I'll just give you a rough estimate of a functioning Rock and Roller Coaster, how long it would take for you to ride it on the back end. There's definitely someone behind me. Bye, Murat. Yeah, bye, Murat. If you want good pictures of the characters, particularly Mandalorian and Grogu, you want to come to Galaxy's Edge early. The characters start roaming right around park open, and they will be swarmed later. So you can still have good interactions with them later in the day, but it's a lot easier in the morning, and it's a lot easier to get a photo in the morning. So if you want that high priority, swing this way, or after your first ride, go ahead and make it a priority to do characters. Speaking of rides, we are actually going to cancel our Star Tours Lightning Lane because with all our hiccups this morning, it is now actually time for our Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway Lightning Lane. So we're gonna head to that, and then we're gonna open up our Lightning Lanes using that one. Which means I can go ahead and cancel Star Tours. When I scan into my Lightning Lane at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, we will have 3 full Lightning Lanes to play with. So we're gonna use that Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway Lightning Lane to open up our Lightning Lanes for the day, since we went ahead and made it to the time that that one started. I will start booking things in other other parks most likely, because the only two that I'll have left in this park are Rock and Roller Coaster and Slinky Dog Dash, which as we've seen have been a bit of a bust this morning. It does make me wish that I had rope dropped Magic Kingdom, but both of those would have been good strategies. The hardest lightning lane to get in Disney World is Slinky Dog, and Rockin' has been pretty difficult as of late because of the upcoming closure. So I figured rope dropping here would be a good call, but I can't control rides going down. Seems like the better call. Mickey Minnie's Runaway Railway is a dark ride, trackless dark ride. Takes you into the land of tunes with Mickey and Minnie, a little bit of a madcap adventure, very cute, family friendly fun. And this is gonna be our first lightning lane. So I'm gonna show you what happens when we scan into this. So right now, if I select Epcot, which is gonna be my next park, and I try to get a lightning lane for Frozen Ever After, it says I cannot get it because I have an experience already from that group, which is the tier 1s. Even if I try to get a not tier 1, it says I need to redeem an experience before selecting from another park. But as soon as we scan into Mickey and Minnie, which I think we'll have to scan into both turnstiles, let's check it, see if we can get us a Frozen now. We can! Okay, so only one turnstile is active, which means I can go ahead and book a Frozen Ever After now in Epcot. I got it for $12.05, which, you know, we'll do. And then let's see if we can go ahead and get the other tier 1s in Epcot actually have single rider lines, so I'm not super stressed about them because one is Test Track and one is Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. There's that second turnstile down. Some rides have 2 tap points, some rides have 1. And people ask all the time if we can do a guide to it. It varies day to day. So really the best way to do it is just check if you can book after you tap once, and if you can't, there's a second turnstile. So there's one in Epcot. Let's go ahead and grab some in Magic Kingdom because those are definitely going to be a little difficult. We don't want to wait on those. So Jungle Cruise 135 sounds good. Let's do that. We can get one more, so I think Tiana's is probably going to be the vibe unless it's out really late. Tiana's is also down. What's Space Mountain at? 10:05 a.m. Okay, yeah, so definitely gonna grab Peter Pan's Flight. Okay, the Slinky Dog Dash line has dramatically dropped to 30 minutes. I watched it go from 90 to 65 to 45 to 30 in the last like 10 minutes. So my theory is they maybe got the trains back on the track. I am going to dart there after this and look at it with my eyes because the 30-minute wait is really low for Slinky, and I think folks will be seeing that and rushing over there. So highly likely it's spiked by the time we get over there, but it would be cool to be able to stand by in 30 minutes for Slinky Dog Dash. Okay, it's reading 40 now. Lots of people definitely did rush over here. Confirmed 2 trains are currently on the track, which means I do believe that 3 have to be in motion again. But I am gonna stay even though it's going up a bit, even though it might be up even a little higher than 40, because I think there's a chance it's 40. Slinky gets slower and slower as the day goes on because the lightning lane gets backed up. As you can see, the lightning lane is empty. So this line is gonna move faster in the morning than any other time. I think this is the right call. We'll give Rockin' a little window to try to open. On the dot. All right, time to decide if we are leaving or not, and by decide I mean see if Rockin' has decided to grace us with its presence today. Nope, still temporarily closed, so we're out of here and gonna head to Epcot, I think, for our Frozen Ever After lightning lane. Which interesting thing happening here. So I got a Frozen Ever After lightning lane for a 10 a.m. start, okay? It is 10:54 right now. Lightning lane windows are 1 hour, which means my lightning lane window ends at 11 a.m. But here's the catch. There is officially a 15-minute grace period on lightning lanes, and secretly, that they don't mention, there's that 15 minutes is actually an hour and 59 minutes. So as long as I scan into Frozen Ever After by 11:59, I think, no, sorry, 12:59, then we will be able to board the ride. And that is, you're literally, when you scan your ticket, it will turn green, like your lightning lane is still active. It doesn't require a cast member to change anything. It is just a secret 2-hour grace period. People keep asking us if the loophole is still around. As far as we can tell, there hasn't really been an issue with it. It is intentional for it to just make the system run a little smoother. And there's been no sign of any malarkey with it. We'll see if it works today, but continues to work like a charm every time I've used it. So that's what we're gonna do for Frozen Ever After. The benefit of this is that after 11 a.m., when my lightning lane technically expires, I'm gonna be able to book a new one. So instead of having 3 lightning lanes at once, I will technically have 4, because the system expires my Frozen lightning lane, frees up that slot, but I can still scan into Frozen for 2 more hours. So I'll be able to book something else, probably go for Magic Kingdom again, and keep stacking for Magic Kingdom this afternoon. It would be really cool if we can get all 4 lightning lanes in Magic Kingdom, instead of having to do the wait at all for Tiana's or Space Mountain. We've got another hiccup. The Skyliner is stopped heading on the leg from the Skyliner hub, which you do have to transfer at to get over to Epcot. The Skyliner hasn't moved since I got off of the Skyliner from Hollywood Studios, and as you can see, it looks like it's maybe been stopped for a good bit because there's a pretty significant line build up here. It's 11 a.m. That's not typical. Usually there's lines for the Skyliner first thing in the morning, and then it kind of stays slow for the rest of the day. But we have fully stopped Skyliner. They're not saying not to get in line. They're not saying there's a problem. They're not saying there's buses to go get on. So I'm gonna hang out here until I get an update from cast members. And if it starts to get egregious, I don't know, because we do have to make that Frozen lightning lane. All right, and sure enough, the Skyliner extendedly down. So they're routing us down to the bus stop that's down here. I'm still cool with waiting in line because they probably didn't dispatch buses until they knew the Skyliner was gonna be down for an extended period of time, which honestly, this probably actually isn't gonna delay us that much. It just means I was hoping to get Remy in before Frozen, but it means that we're gonna be dropped at the front of the park instead of the back. And so we might single rider test track and then go to Frozen, but we might have to book it straight to Frozen depending on how long it takes, how quickly they've dispatched the buses. Not the side of Epcot I expected to be entering, but you know, say la vie. I'm gonna go over here, aligns with these turnstiles. We are going to do test track first because I still have an hour before the end of the secret hour 59 race window on lightning lanes. So that's enough time, I think, to do single rider for Test Track and walk over to Frozen. That's the plan. Test Track is currently the most popular ride in this park because it is Test Track 3.0. They've just rethemed the ride. It's reopened. I like it better than the last version, worse than the first version of Test Track. And I know the World of Motion fans still this World of Motion, but in general, people agree it's an improvement over the last version of Test Track. So I decided to give it a ride today. Despite being the most popular ride in the park with super long lines all day and lightning lanes booking up before everything else, Test Track does have a single rider line, but it still works like a charm. 12 minutes. For my long-haired people, put your hair up. Test Track and Slinky Dog. Those are the 2 that just wreck my hair. I don't know what it is about them, because like Tron is about as fast as Test Track, a little slower, but not by much, and it doesn't wreck my hair that much. I think it's just the way the wind is. I'm also getting too old to go fast on a ride. Test Track goes sideways and I'm like, oh, rough. And listen, I know a lot of you guys are like, I'm older than you and I can do that. I'm aging in a way that is not fun for me. So, you know, give a girl a break. Everybody makes fun of me because I kind of am like a fragile Victorian child. And they're not wrong. Only 2 more tier 1s in Epcot. Epcot only has 3 tier 1s because there just aren't a ton of rides. So the split is a little bit different from Hollywood Studios and Magic Kingdom. Soarin' used to be a tier 1. When Test Track reopened, Soarin' moved down to tier 2, which is awesome. So that's an update to note. Now, how are we on time? We are good. We've got 20 minutes to make it over to Frozen. My wait for Test Track was about 12 in the single rider line compared to a 60 posted wait outside of the single rider line. You know, willing and able. Oh, I forgot food and wine is happening. I need lunch. That might be the move, is a food and wine booth for some food between Frozen and Remy. And then we have to get to Magic Kingdom. Now the Skyliner being down and us having to take the bus kind of reversed Epcot for me. My plan was get off on the Skyliner, do Remy, Frozen, then Test Track, leave through the front of the park and take the monorail to Magic Kingdom. But now, because of the Skyliner being down, I'm going backwards through Epcot. So probably the easiest way for me to get to Magic Kingdom will be to walk to Yacht Club out the back entrance of Epcot and then take a bus to Magic Kingdom from there. So that is likely what we will do. Obviously not as fun a mode of transportation, but something that I have learned in my years of doing ride challenges is that sometimes opting for the activity that will be faster at the expense of walking is not a good idea. Sometimes it might be like, oh, I can get a lightning lane across the park right now for something that would save me 10 minutes. But the 10 minutes you'll spend walking over there makes it not help at all. So with lightning lane, it is difficult to not zigzag. As you saw this morning, I was all over Hollywood Studios, but you want to avoid it as much as possible. Even in the parks where it feels a little easy to zigzag, like Magic Kingdom, you might be like, oh, well, there's the hub I can just walk through. Still takes, 5-10 minutes every time you cross that park, minimum, and that adds up. So you want to avoid zigzagging for time purposes. If you want to get an idea of how I did this in a super high stress ride challenge, you can check out my video where I rode every single ride in all of Disney World in one day. Made that attempt many times and failed, which you can also watch on the channel. And recently I finally succeeded. But you can see a bit about how I handled crisscrossing and making decisions in that video. I think we might end up doing some crisscrossing in Magic Kingdom, but we might use that secret hour 59 grace period to keep ourselves from crisscrossing as much, since we are getting close to having all the lightning lanes we need, as long as I can get Tiana's Bayou Adventure and Rock and Roller Coaster. Sombrero Donald, I love you. He's leaving. Walking up to Frozen Ever After now, and you can see in the app, I do not have a lightning lane for Frozen Ever After, and it's a 30-minute standby wait right now, and there's no more lightning lanes available. You can see that very clearly in the app. My lightning lane expired at 11. It is 12:37. An hour and 37 minutes after my lightning lane expired. So this is just proof of that secret loophole grace period, because when your ticket isn't accurate, it scans blue. Disney doesn't do red because it's an unwelcome color. It doesn't make people feel good to see red. So it scans blue when there's an issue, and that just means attention needed from the cast. But mine scanned green. I get the same check mark on their screen that everybody else gets. The cast members don't even see that I'm overdue. That is how ingrained in the system that is, and my lightning lane works just fine. Now, if you want to get really wild, this does allow you to stack lightning lanes. We have a video on this channel right now of Breed Love doing that and stacking 9 at one time that were all active. But your typical use of it is going to be similar to mine. Maybe something runs long, maybe it's just out of the way, your walking path is bad, and going in an hour or two would be better. That's how you can use the grace period. Okay, we made it to Remy's Ratatouille Adventure. 30-minute posted. Looks like it might be a touch longer than that, honestly. The single rider line is open. It typically is nowadays. This is one of the ones where single rider can be a bit hit or miss. This, Rise of Resistance, usually open, but sometimes cannot be. And any single rider line is actually subject to being closed. But Remy's works awesome, again, if you're willing and able to split up your party. A good rule of thumb for single rider is if it is 3 seats across, the single rider will move quickly. If it is 2 seats across, it will not, because most people travel in even number parties. I wish you guys could feel the air conditioning through the screen right now. Actually, I'm sure you're in air conditioning. So if you would actually figure out how to put air conditioning back, not only through the screen of YouTube, but into my camera and into the past, I think that would be really big for me. Could do a lot more videos outside the parks. There are 6 people ahead of me, and that's it. Okay, Skyliner's back up and running. No longer of help to us. But we are going to head to Magic Kingdom now, because that is all 3 of the tier 1s in Epcot. Pretty easy park to ride the tier 1s with those single rider lines. Not to mention that we didn't have too much trouble with that frozen lightning lane and using the loophole. So great Epcot run. Much better than our Hollywood Studios this morning. Now, Magic Kingdom, 4 rides there, all very popular rides, so this is where we're gonna have to play a bit more of a game. I think with Lightning Lane we do have 2 high demand ones, Jungle Cruise and Peter Pan's Flight. Currently I have Haunted Mansion booked, which is not in our challenge today, but I highly recommend having a Lightning Lane booked to modify with, because if you don't have a Lightning Lane booked and you are just going straight in, you have a Lightning Lane slot available, you're just picking out an attraction, you see a time pop up for something and you tap it, you have to select your party that you want to apply to that lightning lane, and that slowdown of 5 seconds could mean losing a good time. So instead, book whatever. You can book Barnstormer. I usually book something that's a few hours out, so I don't end up accidentally losing a lightning lane that I might want later. So Haunted Mansion's out past like 3 p.m. and I've just been modifying from there, so that way I can modify, skip that select your party screen because my party was selected when I booked it, and maybe get lucky with a good time for Tiana. which is still what we're going for. So I am walking to Yacht Club, which is not a short walk, but not a long one. It's like a 5-minute walk this time. It's just up a hill. But there's a couple other ways that we could do this right now. We could hop on a boat, but my feet are faster than this boat. And even if I took the boat, I would still have a bit of a walk to the lobby. But we could also take the Skyliner to Riviera Resort. But again, by the time we got off, we would end up in another long walk to the bus stop. So we have to walk. We might as well just do the walking here, hop on a bus to Magic Kingdom, and hopefully get there pretty quick. Welcome to the Beach Club. Great hotel, mostly because did you see how fast we just walked to Epcot? Just an incredible location. Bus stop is out front of pretty much every hotel. Typically, you can see it from walking out of the lobby. So if you ever find yourself in like a weird part of Disney World, you need a bus to a park, just go to the lobby of the nearest resort and then walk out front. There's also always signage. So Disney bus service is this way. Big old construction out here. Bus stop is down at the end of the path here, and hopefully a Magic Kingdom bus is coming soon. Disney buses come about every 20 minutes unless something has gone wrong, and sometimes they come more often than that. The other thing that's nice about resort bus stops compared to park bus stops is that they have TVs that tell you when the next bus is coming. Usually it's like a minute or two off in either direction, but a minute or two is really not that much margin for error. So let's just see. Moment of truth, 1:57. Okay, that's a long time, but that's okay. So we have about 15 minutes to sit here. 7 minutes early. What did I say? Not too bad. That bus ride took forever. That was wild. Yacht Club is not that far from Magic Kingdom, but wowza. That bus ride took like 20 minutes, I want to say. I was just on there forever. But it was nice and air conditioned. And of course, I'd have a weirdly long bus ride on this day where I've had so many hiccups. That said, we're still doing okay. And you guys should be thankful that I'm having so many hiccups because I intend to challenge you all to try to beat my time. So it's good that I've dealt with some struggles today. Headed now into Magic. Still no dice on Tiana's as of yet. Gonna keep looking. But we got some lightning lanes to hit in here with Peter Pan's Flight and Jungle Cruise. Guess what, y'all? Rock and Roller Coaster came up. Heck yes. So I was able to grab a 2:15 to 3:15. That's right now. And I actually think I got lucky because when I hit modify time, there were not any times available earlier than 4:30. So I think I just caught it at a really good time. Able to get an immediate lightning lane. That's awesome. So I modified my Haunted Mansion away from that, which means I currently don't have any open. I have Peter Pan's Flight, Jungle Cruise, and Rock and Roller Coaster. My Rock and Roller Coaster one expires in an hour. There's no way I'm gonna be there, but I do think I'll be there in 3. So I'm gonna be using that loophole again.
So get those cameras ready for the colossal, the stupendous, the eighth wonder of the world, the backside of water. O2H, O2H. Thank goodness. So we have some chemistry fans on board. All right, time to make that joke periodically from time to time.
Okay, Jungle Cruise done. So Tiana's has eked up to 35 minutes. You know, it's not horrible. It really, truly isn't. So I think that I'm gonna do it because I'm gonna take my own advice. I always say do as I say, not as I do, but today, do also as I do. I'm gonna try to take my own advice here and know that even though 35 is maybe 10 minutes longer than I would want it to be, the time it would take for me to come back over to Tiana's later is gonna be 10 minutes. So sure, I could gamble for a lightning lane, but if I don't get the lightning lane, again, Tiana's is one that's a lot easier to get in the morning, then we could end up with a long cross that uses up all the time that we saved by not doing this wait now. So unless it looks wilder than the posted wait time, I think it's time to hit Tiana's Bayou Adventure. Showing you guys my tried and true don't get wet method on Tiana's. You need a hat. I need to hold it on your head like this. I need to look down right when you splash. Ready? Not a drop. I mean, there's drops, but you know, stay pretty dry. Okay, I did wait pretty much exactly 35 for Tiana's, which again, longer than I wanted to spend waiting for it, but not bad. Okay, so we have 2 more rides in this park. We have Peter Pan's Flight and we have Space Mountain. Space Mountain has had a pretty short wait and immediate lightning lanes all day. And because I'm giving up on Tiana's because I rode it, I've gone ahead and I've booked a Space Mountain lightning lane. So that's where we can head. And then we just have to pop back over to Hollywood Studios, hop on Rock and Roller Coaster, and shoot off into Rock and Roll as our big finale, which is definitely gonna be the reason this time isn't gonna be the best for riding this, but we will have gotten through 11 of the most popular rides in Disney World, the most stressful rides in Disney World, because everybody is trying to get on these. Oh my gosh, I haven't been over here in a second. I did come over here, but it was nighttime. Trying to make these not so scary, and I couldn't see what the river looks like, or lack of river. That's so wild. Also, it was so shallow. Looked way deeper than that. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, really something. Pretty excited for this one. Got Peter Pan's flight. 15-minute wait that we're skipping, which is awesome. This wait is always long, and it feels long in the queue because the queue is very windy, very small. We have a lightning lane for it, which I do recommend if you are using lightning lane, making this one a priority. I actually just watched Peter Pan like 4 days ago and totally loved it. Hi Emma, hi Fry, hi Quincy. Heads up, we gotta say hi to the mermaid's shirt now available on the AllEars t-shirt store. Cute. Also comes with sweatshirts. Space Mountain, baby. Weirdly short wait on Space Mountain all day today. It's like not particularly slow in Disney World, but it's not busy either. I don't know. There's a 15-minute wait right now, so we're not even getting that good of a skip, but might as well skip 15 minutes and have 5 instead. So we just gotta rocket off into the darkness of space. I just passed it, but when Disney inevitably opens a space resort, which will be $1 billion, and you know, probably happen in a decade or so, maybe more. I don't know how close they are to like, I mean, I guess there's already been a little bit of space tourism. Anyway, not important. When Disney inevitably opens a space resort, they better call it Disney's Hyperion Resort, because on the star maps and Space Mountain, that is what, there's a dot on the map that says Disney's Hyperion Resort. Better call it that, or I'm gonna be mad. And listen, you guys, I don't know that I'm gonna cover that one. Space travel sounds very scary, and also I get motion sick on mission space. So I just don't know that we should really tempt fate with that. One of these young whippersnappers can go. There's no filming on this one, so I'll see you on the other side.
Yeah, no,
Space Mountain, always a good time. I have started to like Space Mountain more lately. I don't know what it is. We used to be like herky jerky and I could never vibe with it, but yeah, I don't know. I've changed my mind. We are now headed back to Hollywood Studios. So just for the record, it is currently 4, which would be a clean 7 hours. Had we not had our Hollywood Studios hiccups this morning, we could have rope drop, rock and roller coaster like was originally intended. Would have been Slinky at the same time. If we didn't have Skyliner breaking, that would be a clean 7. So doable, I think, a lot faster than my luck has had it today. Something that's very true of a Disney day that I want to impart onto you is that you can have perfect strategy. You can have done research for months and months and months, but Disney World doesn't care how much research you did or how much money you spent to be here. Stuff will go wrong. It always, always, always does on the worst days, and it can really throw a wrench into your plans. The key, the trick I always tell people is to go in with that expectation that your plans are more like guidelines, and that if something goes wrong, you will pivot to something else. This is something I have done all the time for work and for fun, and I can speak from experience when I say dozens of my favorite Disney memories were from things that were never in the plan at all, and were things that many times came out of something going dramatically wrong and me having to go do something else. So mindset is everything with that. What a Disney vacation is truly about is not how many rides you do, how many lines you skip. It is about spending quality time with your friends and family who get to go with. And I also know that your 5-year-old doesn't get this, and that when she's tantruming and you're trying to have a positive outlook, it might not be all that possible. But the reason you see AllEars come out here and push Lightning Lane to the limit, try to ride everything in one day, try to ride everything without sleep, play all these fun games, is because we want to make sure that we're pushing the parks to the limit so that the tips and tricks that we give you and the stuff that goes wrong for us doesn't catch you off guard. Those tips and tricks are helpful so you can have the most wonderful time and make the most wonderful memories with your family. Not to be cheesy, that's why I love Disney World. Every time I'm here, it reminds me of making wonderful, wonderful memories with my family and friends over my entire life. And I'm very fortunate that that gets to be true, and I want nothing more than for that to be true for you and your kids and your grandma and your best friend and your neighborhood mailman. Everybody, really. I don't know what happened there. Got really sentimental. That's in my heart all the time, and sometimes it's just over. So sorry about it. I'm not sorry. We should all be vulnerable. You can be vulnerable. I can be vulnerable. I'm hungry. I can get some ice cream on my way to Rock and Roller Coaster. My bus rides have felt so long today. Only a 20-minute one. But we are here. Just gotta get on Rock and Roller Coaster. I think that's gonna put us at a pretty good time. So go see Aerosmith before they transform into the Muppets. Which is what's happening, right? Aerosmith is turning into the Muppets in real life. That's what I've been led to believe. All right, a clean 8 hours to get through all 11 rides with a ton of hiccups. So really not a bad showing. I do challenge you, if you want to take this on, let me know how you do. I'm interested to see if you can beat me. I think you can. I had a little bit of a weak showing today. Using the same strategy with better luck, I think you could do a lot better. Thanks so much for sticking around as we put Lightning Lane to the test today. If you're still here, please like this video, it helps us out a whole lot. And don't forget to subscribe. We have a goal of hitting 500,000 subscribers, and we are in the home stretch, only 100,000-ish left. Plus, we upload info, tips, challenges, and more from Disney World and beyond all week. Why? Because we're serious about fun. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. And I'm gonna go get some Taco Bell. Doesn't that sound good? I get the beef. I get the beef grilled cheese burrito and nacho fries, if you're wondering my Taco Bell order.